Light the beam. Light the beam. Light the beam. We back, man. Another episode of the pod, man. Appreciate y'all for tuning back in. As you can see, it's a special episode. We have Matt joining us here to talk NBA things. We've been talking NFL things for a little while. Me and Alec have been going on, and Matt joined for some of that as well. But back today for NBA talk. First quarter of the season is done. We're about just past 20 games in the season, and want to start getting awards and things. So hand out some awards that just this last week have announced that along with the awards, there's going to be trophies that are named after former great players in the league and things of that nature. So with that being part of the discussion, we wanted to add to that by giving our predictions for who are those guys right now. And we had a little twist as well in that there's about 6 or 7 real awards that are given out each year. We added a whole nother group of extra ones with some fake trophies as well that we're going to discuss as well. So a lot of good stuff on the way. Appreciate y'all tuning back into us. A lot of good stuff going on today. Excited to light the beam with y'all today. A lot of good stuff going on. And yeah, let's get to it, man. It's going to be a fun episode. Okay, quick switch. All right, here we go. So it's your boy G with Alec and Matt, our Boston expert there. Excited to talk about all the things going on in the NBA. Excited to give out these awards and a lot of fun across the board. As you can kind of see behind me, there's a little tree set up. Happy holidays. It's a fun time of the year. Excited to be here. And yeah, excited for all that's going on across the league. So I want to jump straight into these awards, to be honest with you. As I said, they have given out, along with the award itself, there's players that these awards are named after with special trophies and things. And starting off at the top, MVP, the Michael Jordan trophy is what is going to be given out for that award. There's a special trophy with Michael Jordan. It's 23 inches tall, and there's six angles, and there's all kinds of extra stuff to it. I don't know, but definitely a cool thing. But yeah, definitely want to hear who you guys think through this first quarter of the season will be deserving to hoist that at the end of the year. So, Alec, who's your MVP to start the season?
Yeah, the chalk pick, the kind of obvious pick right now I have is Tatum. But I kind of did similar to UG, where I kind of had a dark horse in there. And for me, that's Zion. I think if everything continues to go well for them, they're in the 2 seed right now. I think they can get that 1. He's at 25, 7, and 4 on 60% shooting once again. And leading that team with Ingram down and Herb Jones down. And so I think he has a real shot at MVP if they lock up that 1 seed, having come from, I guess, fought for that 8 last year. So,
man, that's your guy, Tatum. You said Zion's your dark horse, but you also had Jason as your main guy. Matt, you're the Celtics guy. You agree with that pick?
Yeah, I mean, through the first quarter or whatever it's been, I think it's Tatum. Like, pretty. I mean, certainly the narrative's in his favor. Like, a lot of people have been talking about the Celtics, especially with that hot start. But, I mean, the way he's been playing, like, we'll get to it later. Alec and I were at the Lakers-Celtics game recently. Like, he just kind of – I mean, he went for 44 that night, I think. Hit the game-tying shot with, like, 2 seconds left over LeBron. So, he's been that guy all year for the Celtics. And the thing I've really liked to see as a Celtics fan is he seems to be taking on more of, like, a leader role. He's really stepping into his own. He seems to be giving the right answers and pressers. Like, you can tell, like, the joke was always he's only 19. Like, you can tell he's not 19 anymore. Like,
I mean, he's still only 23. So
exactly.
Even still, he definitely has matured in that time. Do you think that part of that elevation is what we just saw in the finals as well? Like, he's clearly taking that to heart.
Definitely. No, like, even in like off-season interviews and like to start the year, you could tell he wants to get back there and win. Like, singular focus kind of thing. So I really like to see that, especially after a deep run. Like, that was the farthest they've been in the playoffs after making a couple good runs at it the last few years. But, they're clearly focused, and especially Jason Tatum. I think he's a clear leader this year.
A big thing for me too, I feel like the MVP, for me, I'd like to see them play both sides of the ball. And Tatum has really focused on that end as well and turned himself into a borderline elite defender on the perimeter. And I mean, it's named after Michael Jordan. He's one of the best two-way players, if not the best ever. So I like him getting that nod as he stepped it up on that end as well too.
Yeah.
I'm with you. You have a dark horse as well, Matt?
I mean, I was gonna pick Zion, so Alex stole that. I mean,
I like
it's
that
not
pick.
really a dark horse, I feel like, but I feel like Ja needs to be in the conversation as well, as long as he can stay healthy, sort of similar to Zion. I mean, they're the top 2 seeds in the West right now, Grizzlies and then Pelicans. So if that holds through most of the season and those guys are on the floor, they're definitely in the conversation.
I think I threw go for it.
Oh no, go ahead. I was talking
I think I threw like $5 on Zion to win MVP like before the season started.
That's looking good.
So if it hits, I'll be happy. I think it's like 250 for the payout. So
that's pretty nice.
Yeah, Christmas good for everybody coming from Alec after that. We'll see. But I do really like all those picks. A name I haven't heard you guys mention yet was a guy we talked about before the season, Alec, and that's Luka, and that's the guy I had picked as a guy at least to try to be in the conversation. Sure. He definitely has held up his part of the bargain. His team can be a whole nother discussion, but he has looked like he's one of the top dogs in the league right now and definitely deserving. If they gave him the word at this point, I would not be mad at that. So Luka looked pretty good. He just had a highlight dunk, I think, a couple of days ago. So maybe he's adding some athleticism to his arsenal. We'll see. But yeah, definitely like what I'm seeing from his game so far. He still complains a little bit. I know folks poke at that, and that surely is a thing. But outside of that, his offensive game is for sure a top tier. So salute to him in that regard. And then someone else wanted to
9 seed.
Yeah, he's with the 9th seed, and that's the point to the team thing, and that's why Jason Shirley is above him in that regard. But individually, their play, just individually, as I said, is equal there in my eyes. So good stuff from them. And then a sleeper I wanted to mention with all the chaos, I guess, going on around him, someone who has still looked very good and is still one of the elite guys in the league, I believe. Kevin Durant surely has looked good start this year so far. His team has had a whole lot of changes and things that we don't got to go too in depth on.
They've been on the upswing though.
Yeah, but they're definitely on the upswing. And to your point about wanting to have guys on both ends of the ball, his defense can come into question at times, but he definitely can hold his own on that side of the ball as well to match his great offensive game too. So definitely want to mention him with how he has the Nets looking at the moment. The Nets are the 4th seed right now, so 18 and 12, and won their last 5. So definitely want to salute them for how he has led that team in the midst of all their turmoil. And just definitely another guy that will stay in the discussion, I believe, all year long. So good stuff there.
Giannis is probably number 3 right now too.
Let's throw out all the main names, of course.
How do we forget him?
Giannis and all. Is Steph in that discussion with how the words have looked, or no?
No.
With the injury, no.
If the team record was better, because he's been lights out and carrying them, but they're like a 500 basketball team.
Yeah, he could probably make a push if he comes back from that, I think, shoulder injury it is in a couple weeks, and they catch fire. He could definitely make a run at it, but I don't know.
You're gonna need Clay to stop shooting 4 for 17, though.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't against the Celtics when they beat us, so he can show
someone else at the bottom of the league who has dealt with injury as well currently. Anthony Davis, he's looked good when he's bounced back this year. Any thoughts for him for MVP?
Yeah. What'd you say?
Any thoughts for him for MVP?
Yeah, like I said, if the team record was better, I mean, there was a stretch where he was playing like the best player in the league.
Correct.
Because his impact on both sides of the ball, but no, I mean, they're probably still 4 games below 500 right now. So I think they'd have to be at least a top 4 seed for AD to be in the conversation.
If he can stay out of his street clothes, he might have a shot.
Right. There are a few folks in that same boat. So we'll see how that goes. But definitely fun things going on with the MVP and the Michael Jordan trophy that's going to be handed out. Moving on, Defensive Player of the Year is now being given out as the Hakeem Olajuwon trophy. Definitely some good things there. Who you guys have for that pick?
You can go first, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like I think it's like on the Bucks. There's a couple of competing, players. Like Giannis is obviously going to be a front runner. Like every year he's on the floor now. Mm-hmm. But I mean, Brook Lopez has been really key, and he always his ability to defend the paint is what lets Giannis kind of be a roamer, similar to how the Celtics use Rob Williams. So he can just come on the weak side at every attempt in the paint and at least challenge it, if not block it. So I think he would be up there. And then I gotta say Marcus Smart's a repeat, but he's been I feel like since he won it last year and was the first guard since Gary Payton, all the momentum that's kind of gone.
Got you. So you're pointing about Brook Lopez, he was my pick as well. So I want to throw that in there. He's been Yeah. He's been a pleasant surprise for that squad. I think he was in and out of the lineup a whole lot last year, so we didn't really feel his impact as much. But he's been a consistent force in the middle for them this year, and it's definitely been needed and appreciated. So he was a name that I expected to be in the discussion before the season. I think in our preseason awards, we mentioned Giannis, we mentioned Gobert, and all the big guys like that. But Brook has shown that he definitely deserves to be in that conversation as well, and could be leading it right now, as us and as I've seen online, many folks as well have. So yes, salute to him in that regard. You also mentioned the guard in Marcus Smart, who's great. I was going to say Marcus Smart's your at name. I was going to start out. Marcus Smart, who definitely is great. Another guard forward type guy that's in the discussion that is a younger guy and is emerging onto the scene that I wanted to shout out. Herb Jones for the Pelicans. The Pelicans have one of the better defenses in the league right now, as you mentioned, them being one of the top teams in the league. And just because of how good they are on offense, their defense definitely is a force. And Herb Jones has showed that he definitely is a key cog in that. So wanted to salute him in that, especially with guys like Zion's been more consistent in the lineup, but Brandon Ingram's been out a little bit. McCollum's in and out at times. So for him to be there alongside Zion and Trey Murphy and others, still holding it down. That he definitely, I want to throw him out. Maybe more of a dark horse, but someone I think
still some time too. Like he just came back their last game.
But still a dark horse that I think will be worth the discussion going on the rest of the season. So definitely salute to him. Alec, who you got?
I had Brook too. I think he's averaging 3 blocks per game. He's clearly like the anchor of that defense, and the impact has shown there. I think for my dark horse, I had AD. I think the team performance has to be better too, but his individual performance on the defensive end, like he does everything for the Lakers. Like he's probably the main reason that they're not last in defense, because he blocks shots, he can defend and switch out to guys on the perimeter. He's lengthy disruptor in the passing lane. So like he pretty much does it all defensively for this team and covers up the mistakes that a lot of the other guys and the deficiencies that a lot of the other guys have. So I think I think he's averaging like 2 blocks and a steal and a half per game. I think had the team been doing better, he would be in like top 3 for this award right now. So that's like dark horse for me, projecting that they'll have a better second half of the season.
Correct. So good stuff there. Any thoughts on the guys we had predicted before the season? And I think we talked about Mobley and we talked about Rudy Gobert and people like that. And any thoughts that they are can make a real push for it still?
Let's see.
I know they haven't had that strong of a season as we hope to start. I know Gobert definitely has not on that Wolf squad, and Mobley's been good, but hasn't his impact. I don't know, maybe because I haven't watched the Cavs a whole lot as desired, but his impact hasn't seemed as grand as it did when he first got on the scene last year. So I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
I think I had Bam, Giannis, and Mobley.
Right, Bam too, of course.
I think Bam and Giannis can be in the discussion right now. Mobley, I haven't felt as much as his rookie year, but admittedly, I haven't watched a whole lot of Cavs games. They've been playing well as a group, and they're decent, like defensive front between him and Jared Allen. So, yeah.
Any last thoughts on that, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I was really high on Mobley, just sort of hoping he would take another step forward after the great rookie year. I mean, but like you guys are saying, I haven't watched a ton of Cavs games, so I also feel like him and Jared Allen, like I don't know if they quite used them, like I was saying with like Brook Lopez and Giannis is like one's more of an anchor and one can sort of float around and be like a safety. But I feel like they could do that. Like I know Jared Allen's a really good paint defender, so he could be in that like Brook Lopez role. Yeah, because I know Mobley still gets his blocks, but like you guys are saying, I just don't know if the impact is there on the same level that like the way like you were just talking AD, just kind of completely anchors that Lakers defense. Like without him, it would be Swiss cheese. So.
Yeah. So we'll see how that plays out. Definitely a good group of guys that could be fighting for that award. So excited to watch how that plays out. Moving on, Rookie of the Year, which we're giving out as the Wilt Chamberlain Trophy, is going to be a nice one. Wilt came on the scene as a rookie; he was averaging like 50 points or something like that. So definitely deserving to have him for that trophy, and a guy that had to get a trophy somewhere. So this fits for sure. But I'll go with Matt first. Matt, who you got for Rookie of the Year this year?
I mean, with the Arizona shirt on, I got to say Ben Mathurin. He might be up for multiple of these awards the way he's coming off the bench right now. But I got to go with him. I mean, he's he's starting to, you know, feel the course of that, you know, 82 game season. I think he's been down a little bit recently, but you know, he's still coming off the bench, getting them like at least 15 a game. I mean, the way he attacks the paint and the way he can finish at the rim is incredible. So for year one, like, you know, watching a guy like Jaylen Brown, like he was horrible at that his rookie year. And now he's like an elite finisher, has great touch around the rim. Like Ben's only going to improve from here. So
do you think he's better than LeBron, like he said in his statement before the season?
I'm not going to call him a liar. So
he outplayed him in the first game they had against.
He's looking good so far. I don't know about LeBron level, but he's up there. He's playing good so far. So definitely salute. I like that.
If Ben Mathurin can successfully throw an inbound pass in the clutch, I think he's better than LeBron.
There it is. Gotcha. Alec, who you got for Rookie of the Year?
It was my same two picks as before the year. Paolo number 1 and Ben number 2. And I think that's how it is right now. Paolo, he looks like an NBA vet already. Like we already thought he was the most polished, most NBA ready, but it's like more than I even thought. He came in and dominated from game 1. Obviously, the Magic aren't having great team success, but it hasn't been because of his faults. Like he's been the clear number 1 for them. So I think it's Paolo right now, but Ben has been sensational off the bench, and like Matt said, possibly up for one of these other awards too. So
yeah, I'm with you on that. Definitely like Paolo in this game, and Ben has looked great also. So definitely 2 guys that deserve to be mentioned. 2 more I had to mention were the 2 guys I had my preseason pick. I think this is the one pick where my picks have stayed the same so far. Jaden Ivey still looks pretty good for the Pistons, especially with Cade out. So it's very possible that he's going to get even more play going for this season. He's going to have the keys for the rest of the year pretty much, and could take them to, or at least individually, could have a very nice season that deserves the award, even though Paolo has looked great. And then, of course, I had to mention Keegan. This ain't his jersey. This is De'Aaron Fox. But my Kings, man, had to shout out Keegan Murray on the Kings. Definitely a very pleasant addition to that squad as they have turned things around this year. Have been great to see. Loving his game and how he fits into that lineup. I don't know. I think Jaden Ivey still is a special talent, as I said, but I definitely enjoy. It could be a question that it was wrong to pass on him still, but Keegan definitely is looking like a great pick and a great fit for the squad as well. So definitely glad to have him there. And yeah, I've enjoyed his presence so far, and I think he continues on his path with some slight better improvement on the offensive side. I think that he could really make a push for this award too. So a really good rookie class. So a lot of guys making an effort. A deep pick that I've seen some people mention as well is actually another guy on the Pacers who has, I guess, not taken his spot, but I guess better fits in the starting lineup. That's Nembhard. I forgot what his name. Aaron, right?
Andrew Nembhard.
Excuse me. Yeah, Andrew Nembhard definitely has been playing great over there as well, and has gotten to the starting lineup. Is playing alongside Tyrese Halliburton, former King. That impact, but anyways, definitely has been. Definitely has been looking good over there as well, and was a guy that I think was a second-round guy, but has come on and has earned a starting role and has been very impactful there. And it's definitely appreciated on the Indiana squad, and yeah, it has allowed them to have the room to bring Ben off the bench and be the impact he has been off the bench as well. So both guys on Indiana, they have some nice young pieces there that are definitely looking good. So yeah, a lot of good guys there. Right, on Bron, definitely was a moment for him. So salute to him for that. So good stuff in the rookie race there. Moving on, 6th man of the year is another fun one. The trophy is going to be dedicated to John Havlicek, who definitely was a great player back in his day. Who you guys have for 6th man? Alec, I'll let you go first.
I should have thrown the jersey on, but it's the triple double king.
Yeah, I was waiting on you. I was surprised John had jerseys on today. I was disappointed, but it's all good.
It's the triple double king for sure. Russ has accepted his new role as 6th man and has dominated in it since he really claimed that role and gotten a chance to be a point guard as he thrives in that capacity. Yeah, he's been great and he's answered the call there. And I think he's kind of flipped the narrative from they have to trade Russ to they have to keep Russ. I'm seeing a lot now. So he's been sensational in that role. And then Ben Mathurin, who we just talked about, he's been the 6th man for the Pacers and he's been scoring at a high clip and pretty efficiently for a rookie. So yeah.
I actually have the same exact two. So yeah, I agree with you there. I'm very impressed and glad that Russ has accepted that role and is doing as great as he is in that space. And then Ben has been great in the same type of role in Indiana. So both those guys, I'm fully agreeing with you there. Matt, who you got?
I mean, first with Russ, I think it would be really cool to see him win it this year. Just off, like, you know, people always talk about narratives around awards and stuff, especially with his MVP.
Yeah.
And like, I think all the talk about him coming off the bench and people saying like he wasn't adjusting at first and all that, him embracing the role, thriving like he is now, and then winning that award would be, I think, pretty cool.
Yeah.
But other than that, obviously, I like Ben, as I said, for our Rookie of the Year part. And then I think Malcolm Brogdon has a shot. He's kind of a boring pick, but like if you just want to go for team success and then like on the court, watching him for the Celtics, like he's just a very steady presence with the second unit that like they never really had last year. And I think that was, you know, definitely a missing piece. That's why they wanted to bring him in, and he's been really good. It's nothing flashy, but you know, efficient shooting, a little bit of playmaking, great defense, and just like a veteran presence off the bench. So
yeah, Brogdon and Jordan Poole are very high, like in the odds for it right now too. But Jordan Poole's gonna be starting now, so that probably hurts him because I probably would have him in the discussion too.
Yeah.
Definitely, he's my preseason pick. So yeah, but him being starting, yeah, I agree with you. So yeah, good stuff with that race there. Definitely good stuff going there. Moving on, most improved, which is the George Mikan Trophy, will be handed out for that one. Matt, going back to you, who you have for most improved? Excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going complete homer. I didn't wear the shirt intentionally, but you know, that's Lauri Markkanen. I mean, he was, you know,
that's
like
our baby boy.
Exactly. Like when we were all at Arizona, he was like, you know, one of the
he was
top.
Cooking.
Yeah, he was great. Like watching him in college, you know, up close.
Young KP.
Exactly. No, it was a lot of fun.
Better.
Seriously. And like after watching him so closely through college, well, his 1 year at college, you know, like it was a little confusing why he didn't catch on, you know, immediately. I mean, he looked all right for the Cavs at times, but I didn't think him playing the three was really the right role for him, at least as much as they had him there, you know.
Right.
But like that experience, I think, is helping him in Utah, gives him a lot of lineup versatility. Now he's the guy like he was at Arizona. So he's getting, you know, they're running plays for him. He's getting his looks, and he's putting up his numbers and staying healthy, which was the thing you could never really do in Chicago. So it's been really fun to watch him this year.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Shout out to my fantasy team too.
That was a good pick. I wanted him too.
Yeah.
Alec, who you got there?
Yeah, I got Lauri as my number one for MIP as well. He's been great for the Jazz. We all expected him to be like 14 or 15 in the West, and they started off. I think they're still in playoff contention right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're in the 7th spot right now still. So, shout out to the Jazz as a collective, but Lauri's been the one leading them without question. So, got to give it to him. And then I had on here Shea also. He's made the jump from like borderline all-star to like borderline superstar in terms of his individual play. There's obviously other guys that are better, but I mean, he's been dominant. I think with a better team, he'd be in MVP conversations as well too. So yeah,
my picture flipped. So I actually had Lauri as the dark horse because of how Shea has been playing.
Okay,
and Shea was my main guy because he has made the jump that I said that Anthony Edwards was going to make. Maybe I was here early as possible, but I said I said Anthony Edwards was going to go from borderline all-star guy early on to potential MVP type now with the pieces around him and all of that. Shea instead has been making that jump, and he's been decent this year, but it's clearly another level from what Shea is doing right now. Shea looks like he's a special talent right now, so if we wanted to salute him in that as the main guy. Definitely looks like he's borderline superstar, and as you said, better team. The sky definitely is the limit for him. Quotes came out recently. Doc Rivers was like, "Back when we made the trade for Paul George, I tried real hard to keep Shea, and we just
I know they did not want to lose Shea,
and we kind of see why, because he's definitely developed into a superb talent there. So definitely salute to him." And then we both have mentioned the same guys, a group, and Shea and Lauri, but wanted to throw in some other guys as well that had to be mentioned. Bol is looking great right now. I want to make sure we just give him his praise over there.
Yeah.
I definitely was a guy that couldn't quite find his footing. I think he was on two teams before this, right? Or just the Nuggets, right?
He was on the Nuggets. I think just
and
the Nuggets.
The Celtics briefly. I don't think he ever played a minute, but we
so.
had him for a second.
He was he wasn't even there, but went to the Nuggets and couldn't quite find his footing. There were moments where everybody could see the potential of it. There was the rumored 7-foot lineup or whatever it was with with Jokic and all those guys over there. They tried to do a big man lineup and things of that nature to try to find his footing, but couldn't quite make it work over there in Denver for whatever reason. He got traded over to Orlando and has really blossomed over there. He's looking like the guy that they hoped he would be out of the draft. And yeah, definitely a great piece, a great addition there. And alongside him, another guy I want to mention on that same squad, Franz Wagner has been great. I don't even know if it could even be a whole great improvement because he actually was pretty good last year as well. Right. But just having now guys around him where he's now highlighted and we now notice him, I did want to salute both of those guys over there. So Shea and Laurie for sure are 1-2 right now. I agree with you in that regard. But two guys that are fighting are those two guys are in Orlando, Bol and Franz Wagner. So yeah, salute to what those guys are building over there. Definitely some fun things to watch from the young guys coming up in the league. So good stuff in that regard. And then the last real award that I'm kind of confused by, to be honest with you, is the Clutch Player Award. I don't really know what the metric is for that, how they're judging it. But it's the Jerry West Trophy. Jerry West. There's questions about that, I'll be honest, because he didn't.
How do you name the Clutch Player Trophy after someone that went like 1-8 career in the finals?
I didn't want to go there, but I'll let the other guy have it. Go ahead, Matt.
That's okay, but like, if I'm gonna shit on a Lakers player, you also could have given that to Kobe. That feels like it would have been a great award for him to have. Like the trophy could have been the iconic fadeaway. Like I don't know.
I know Kobe already has the All-Star Game MVP awards. I don't know if they want to double it, but
I mean, he's one of the legends. You can give him two. Like, that's a one-time trophy. We'll remember it in February, but
I'll go ahead and bring it up now. A question that I had was, and I forgot about the All-Star Game trophy, to be honest, but the thought was that we have known Jerry West with the logo for forever now.
Even though he's not technically the logo.
Even though he's not technically the logo, but we all know.
Don't pay him like he's the logo.
Yeah.
With that being the case, with him now getting an award, to your point about not wanting to double up on certain guys, it opens up things for the logo to be dedicated to somebody else. And I thought it was a perfect opportunity to now change the logo to Kobe. Is there still thoughts of is there a desire for the NBA logo to be changed to Kobe still, or have you accepted that it will be as is?
I mean, I think it'd be dope. I don't really care either way. I mean, because I think the classic NBA logo with the image of Jerry is already like iconic. But if they did change it, I would like it to be to Kobe. That's what I would say. Like Kobe or Mike would make sense to me, but anyone other than that, I wouldn't want them to change it.
Sorry, I'll pass to you in a second, Matt. But I think it's still perfect timing to change the logo. This league is changing a little bit. They're changing the format of the league and things. They're now changing awards. They're adding in mid-season tournaments and things of that nature. There's a whole lot of change going on in the league. They're also trying to embrace, clearly they've been for years now, embracing more of their foreign players and things of that nature. And while Kobe was from here, he definitely had a large fan base outside of the U.S. as well. So I think having a face like Kobe as the main guy, also, of course, with all that went on with them and how symbolic that would be, I think it's perfect time still for the league to do that. So if there's a chance for them to do that, I really hope that they make that change. I think it'd be fitting with all that's still going on around the league right now. So Matt,
if they change it to LeBron, I'd riot.
Don't even get me started. So Matt, would you be for Kobe being the logo?
Yeah, I mean, I think like Alex said, if you change it, I think that's a pretty good idea. That'd be pick number one to change it to. The problem with someone like Mike, I feel like that ran into it with the trophy. Like he has his most iconic pose, but he has a trademark on it. So like, it would have been really cool if the MVP trophy was the Jumpman, but then people would just think of the Jordan brand instead of Mike. So it's a little different. No, I think it would be cool. Like you need an iconic silhouette. Like that's the whole basis of the logo. I'm sure they would keep it like the same red, blue, and white. So like I said with the trophy, Kobe's fadeaway would be, I think, deserving.
Yeah. Got you. So yeah, we'll see if that happens. But back to this award, clutch player Jerry West is who it is at the moment. So we'll roll with that as things change. Who you guys have for your clutch player of the year so far?
like you said, Garrett, this one was kind of tough for me because I'm like, what metric are they like kind of determining this off of? When I pulled up the advanced stats, like Kelly Olynyk was #1 as far as
give it to him. That's fine by me.
I was like, no. I was like, there's no chance I'm giving this to Kelly Olynyk. It was like Olynyk, Dorian Finney-Smith, like
King in the fourth, Kelly Olynyk. Come on.
There's no way, like in 2 minutes left, 5-point ball game, I'm gonna give the ball to Dorian Finney-Smith. So I'm here. Luka and Shea were both like in the top 10. So I had both of them in there. I would have no problem giving the ball to Luka late game situation or Shea, like we talked about. He's been playing at an MVP type level, just on a bad Thunder team. So I picked those two.
I had Shea and KD. So I mean, I don't even know how accurate that is, but
KD just gotta watch his feet. KD just gotta watch his feet.
Oh yeah, maybe I gotta find a guy with some smaller shoes, but outside of that, I think KD is up for the challenge still. Definitely has been known as one of the more clutch players in the league, just as one of the better players in the league, just in general, of course. So yeah, I don't know what the metric is, so I'll go with those two, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like with this award, they might want to like define it more, you know, especially since it's the first year they're going to be voting on it. Like, should you look at the last 5 minutes of fourth and overtime, or are we just going to be thinking about like moments? Because like, you know, the like Shea and Luka, KD, that all makes sense. I think Damian Lillard should also be in consideration, of course, especially since it's the first year for this award. They might kind of go like a legacy pick. Like, he's been one of the clutch guys, has like a couple of the most iconic buzzer beaters of the last 10 years. So I think he would be well deserving.
I forgot somebody, Matt Ryan.
Oh yeah, hey.
Hey. Go to you, man.
I feel that.
Lakers never should have cut him.
Right. So yeah, good stuff there. We'll figure out what the metric is and adjust our rankings as we go forward for our midseason award when we come back to it. But for now, definitely good things. And that marks the end of, I guess, technically the new awards in regards to what they have named after. They haven't announced I don't think did they announce the Coach of the Year one? I made that one up, but for the real ones at least, I saw that they had like 6 or 7 they had the trophies for, and that marks for the end. Those other awards that I thought were still out there. But for the main ones that the NBA has announced with trophies, those are the main ones. So definitely great stuff there, fun stuff there, and excited to see how that plays out. But now on the fun side, to slight flip.
Did you not have Coach of the Years?
Oh, I mean, I did, but I didn't see they had a trophy for it. I made that up myself. So.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I was gonna go to that now. So yeah, as I said, going I guess to the fun side somewhat. There are some real awards in here. But again, I didn't see what the trophy was for it, so I made up my own trophy for it just to see how it would play out. Definitely some good things. I'll let you guys vote first on the trophy name, and then I'll have you vote, have you give your pick as well. So starting off, one of the fun ones, Coach of the Year is a real award, but they didn't have a trophy for it. I gave it to Phil Jackson as that's a trophy. It was, you got to think about the Coach of the Year being called given the Phil Jackson trophy there.
Yeah.
Any agreement there?
I like it.
Titles or whatever between all the teams he goes for.
No thoughts on the DARVIN Ham trophy yet? We're not there yet.
Man trophies.
After I get this fantasy dub, then we can.
Yeah, we'll see. But
I gotta say, Red Hour back, of course. Going back to overpay. I mean, if they're gonna name, I think the whole reason why they're naming all these trophies after like older guys is just to kind of preserve, like, as time goes on, and like, you know, those guys, those players like George Mikan and all them are like, you know, not to be forgotten by history.
So they can kick them out of the top 75.
I mean, basically,
you're out, but you're not. Here's a trophy. Yeah.
But yeah, like, so, you know, Phil Jackson's much more recent, like, you know, so I think if they want to stick with the retro eras, at least to start, Red would be the pick for me.
Got you. I'm cool with Phil still. Either way, it's cool. But for the actual award itself, who you guys have for Coach of the Year so far?
I have Willie Green right now. They were the ones, either the 2 in the West, but coming from 8 seed, they showed potential in that series against the Suns, but they've springboarded off of that and have been sensational this year, even with guys down. Like BI's been out for a while, and they've still been playing well. Had that confrontation with the Suns where they got into it a little bit after the first game and beat them the second game too, 2 in a row. So I think they kind of stamped that they're one of the best teams in the West. And Willie Green has been a huge part of that. 2 on here, G will like. I got Mike Brown.
Wow. Let's go. That's my pick.
Finally,
see
some respect on the beam.
I think he can get the Tom Thibodeau Coach of the Year award, where Thibodeau brought the Knicks into 4 seed in the East and made them a playoff team. If he makes them a playoff team, I think he'll deserve.
We are a playoff team. There's no if.
If they make the playoffs, he'll deserve consideration for sure. And then Will Hardy, actually for the Jazz. Like I said, we expected them to be bottom of the bucket, and they have been really good. They compete every night. They've beaten some good teams as well too. So if they make the playoffs, it's a similar situation. If they make the playoffs, I think he's got to be in the consideration as well. I didn't say Joe Mazzulla, but he's clearly in there.
I was gonna let Matt handle that. Yeah. Matt, is that your guy for Coach of the Year this year?
I mean, he was definitely my front runner until all of his game plans got leaked on Quizlet.
that elevated him even more.
Just discovered.
He's a man of the people.
Yeah, he had that
I missed
for
when
so
you were talking
long.
about that. Sorry. Why was that?
I mean, I forget. Someone on Twitter just unearthed that Joe Mazzulla's game plans were entirely on Quizlet, public,
from 2021 though. I'm
saying, why was he doing that in the first place though?
I mean, Quizlet is pretty.
It's a study. It's a study. Memorized.
Yeah. And with him too, he could even share that with the players, and have them use it at home.
It's basically digital flashcards.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I guess in my head, I'm still I'm sure the NBA has its own way of sending stuff out.
High
school has Huddle and wherever you can send stuff out.
For sure, he didn't have to do it on a public site.
No. Yeah, I'm why? That's what I'm confused about. I'm like, you guys can have your own system to send out, but whatever, so be it. But yeah, go ahead about Mazzulla and how great he's doing.
Aside from that, I think the Celtics, they dropped a couple games on that West Coast road trip, and they just lost to the Magic last night when we're recording this. So, I think if he can pull himself out of this adversity, because he hasn't really dealt with that yet as a head coach. But as long as he responds and they kind of get back to the level that they started on, I think he should be the front runner. I think it would be kind of weird if an interim head coach, won the award. So I hope the Celtics personally take that tag off of him soon.
I was gonna say he should be the head coach.
Yeah, I mean, Ime was rumored to go for the Nets for a while. I think I was on here when all that was really, all those rumors were spinning. So. If we're I think we should really just cut Ime loose. If you're gonna let him walk to a team potentially, I think he probably would have gone to the Nets had all the other Kyrie controversy not been going around.
That's true, yeah.
So I think we should just cut him loose. Joe's been really good. The players really seem to like him, and just because listening to him. And, yeah. And listening to him in the press conferences, I really like the way he conducts himself. He's a very even-keeled person. And then he gives the right answers in the press, but then a couple days later they can circle back on him and they'll tell him the truth. After some of the bad losses, he was we just got to get better, sort of giving his plain answers. And then once they beat the Lakers, talking about the Clippers game, he was no, I told Jason Tatum he had to get fucking better. He was just completely, then he'll actually tell the truth. But I like that about him. He seems very even keeled, and it sounds like the players have a lot of respect for him. When all the stuff with Ime was going down, he was their pick. So I think it's a good sign that, they've really been clicking on all cylinders, at least to start the year. So he's mine.
Nothing's ever a perfect comparison, but is this a Luke Walton situation on the Warriors? Is he just filling in and the team's already set, so they're rolling, or is he really orchestrating these guys back to being the elite team that we see them to be?
I think with Luke Walton, it was kind of just the Warriors picked right up. That was, if I remember correctly, that was to start one of the years, I think right after they won a ring.
Right after the 72 season, right? Or no?
Yeah. Okay. So it might have been that season.
Yeah.
So they had all that motivation, coming off of that bad loss, which is the same for the Celtics, but those two Warriors teams still seemed pretty similar. Maybe KD was plugged in there, but the whole thing that made that scary was Kevin Durant is very easy to plug into any team. But I think different from last year, the Celtics have had one of the best offenses in the league compared to last year when it was carried by their defense. So it seems it's not a completely different identity because all the players are there. Yeah. But I think especially with Rob Williams out to start, he really focused on the offense. And the thing that's blown me away about watching this team is they're one of the better 3-point shooting teams in the league. And it's just because they get so many open looks. It doesn't look a whole lot different than last year, So I kind of just got to give it up to, his coaching, and whatever he's done on the offensive end is clearly working, getting our shooters open looks. So I think that's why it's a little different than Luke Walton. Like, at least from the eye test, they do look like a bit of a different team from last year.
Yeah, that was going to be my point. Just with Rob Williams being out and him being the clear defensive anchor for you guys last year, him being able to adjust and have them clicking on all cylinders without him, without that big of a piece, I think is a testament to how good of a coach he is and can be. So yeah, I think it's more so. It's a little bit of both, because they definitely were. I mean, they're coming off the heels of going on a championship run,
right?
So they definitely were set up nicely for him. But I think there's credit that should go his way as well.
Definitely. Just want to give him his praise and get full understanding of it, because, I haven't fully watched the Celtics as much. So just seeing what's going on there and want to hear from you. So good stuff in that regard. Alec already gave credit to my Kings guy, Mike Brown. So my picks are already in that regard. So we can move on. Moving on, the next award. Now we're getting into more of the made up stuff I wanted to point to. The first one, Best Dunker. And I gave that to Vince Carter. The Vince Carter Trophy will be for Best Dunker. Who do you guys have for that award this year?
It wasn't in the NBA, but I just want to say when that trophy gets made, it has to be him jumping over that French dude in the Olympics. Just clear over him. But I mean, for that pick, I mean, he's been probably the best dunker on the planet since he was in high school. I feel like it's got to go to Zion. Especially after that dunk that made an entire franchise furious. Campaign is still thinking about it in his sleep.
The Suns are so pussy, man.
So bad. That dunk alone just kind of put him there for me. But
I think we all agree here, correct?
Yeah.
And I'll throw one out there just for the fun of it. Someone else I saw has been doing nice. Shaden Sharp has looked good this year, jumping at times, jumps out the building and all of that. So salute to him in that regard. But yeah, definitely Zion for that. And to your point about the dunk, there are folks that are talking about all the unwritten rules in the NBA and unwritten rules across sports. And most times when you look at them, you don't actually agree with them. Are there any unwritten rules you guys agree with in sports?
I don't really think so. Those are the old white man rules to me.
Yeah.
The no fun league rules. Because, pretty much everything, even going to NFL, celebrations that used to get flags and stuff like that. Just let guys have fun, man. And the Zion dunk too, he's at home. This is a Pelicans crowd that loves to see Zion get up and dunk. This is what you pay extra money for, to see a guy like Zion play. So come on, man. These unwritten rules, they're unwritten for a reason, because if they were written, people would be like, what, why? So
go ahead, Matt.
With unwritten rules, I don't know if there's too many in basketball. The whole scoring after, when the game's up, I think that's, that's exactly what happened with Zion and against the Suns. I mean, just get back on defense then. The whole reason he got that dunk was because they weren't trying and committed a bad turnover with 5 seconds left.
Yeah.
So then it's oh yeah, Zion's right by the hoop. This is a building of 20,000 people who want to see him throw down.
Yeah.
Let's let him dunk. Or even with that, I remember one of my favorite players growing up, Ricky Davis, tried to get he tried to get a triple double by purposefully missing so he could get the offensive rebound to get his 10th board. And I remember the opposing coach got really mad about that. But when you think about some of the contract incentives guys have, say it's the end of the game, game 82, you need to get to 40% from 3 in order to get $500,000,
right.
And then you got a wide open look with 5 seconds left, this is one shot for $500,000. They should take it. Who cares? But then, I mean, the only unwritten rules, and I started saying, I feel most of those are in baseball. But if there are any in basketball that are about safety, I feel those, not holding on to the rim or whatever. But you get a tech for that. That's a written rule.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's the only time I could see it worth enforcing.
I'll bring this up, and we had somewhat of a long discussion about it off air. But I guess the only one that I kind of agree with is it's not really a rule. It was just a moment. But the whole Giannis situation in Philly a couple weeks ago, when he was mad at not being able to work out, I'm like, dude, this isn't the one city that does not like you at all. They have their own superstar I know Embiid wasn't even the one out there pressing it, but I know.
I don't want to hear anything from
one of Embiid's goons.
They're trying to come in and work on your game after the game in front of the opposing crowd that does not like you. That's the one time I was like, you know what? I get why Trez is mad like that. It's like, bro, go home. You get a whole 10-game home stretch, 10-day home stretch. Go home and do that. We just beat you also. You don't get to work out on our court after we did that. That's the only time. When there's rivalries in place like that, I think there are some things that have to go on. Like we just talked about Ravens Steelers the other day. If after the game, all of a sudden Mr. Biscuit's trying to work on his throws on the Ravens field, I'm like, bro,
I'd be laughing.
I'm not. Yes, you're laughing at the same time for folks that care for the rivalry. I'm like, bro, go home and do that. You're not doing that here. So that's the one where I kind of agree with it. Outside of that, I'm with y'all. But yeah, any thoughts? Just to have it on air now. Thoughts on the whole Giannis thing from a few weeks ago?
I mean, I think Trez is cut from that Phoenix Suns clause of fake tough guys. I don't really want to hear from you if you're averaging like 4 points a game and barely getting off the bench for this Philadelphia 76ers team. If Joel Embiid is out there, okay, that's different. But the fake tough guy at the end of the bench, now not letting the best player in the world get some extra shots up like players do. Like, I get it's a rivalry, but I'm not mad at Giannis for being like, fuck you, I'm getting my shots up. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can sort of get it with Giannis because, you know, it was a bad loss. It was because of his free throw shooting. Like, you know, Anthony Davis at home after he missed a couple clutch free throws, you know, would have been nice to see him out there still.
At home.
Not at home. Exactly. And, like, that's what it really comes down to. Because, like, especially when, you know, like, the Sixers arena employee is, like, trying to take the basket down and he shoves the ladder out of the way. Like, let the man do his job. There are other places probably in this building that you can get shots.
There was a lot of pearl clutching going around about that, though. Like, he could have hurt somebody with the ladder.
I'm not going to that extent. I'm not going to that extent. But
yeah,
just the initial thought of you're on the rival court, we just beat you, you lost. Go home and figure it out, and then come back and show us. Don't work on it here. You can't do that. I get that. So that's the only unwritten rule, I guess, that I kind of agree with. But outside of that, I'm with y'all on all of that. And then back to where we started with Zion, his dunking. Definitely is great to see and hope that we continue to see a whole lot more of it going forward. So, yeah, salute to him for that. Definitely will give him the award. We very well could see that Zion with his arm stretched back as a trophy decades from now, maybe as the new one. So, definitely. Cool stuff from him there. And moving on, one I had to shout out, as I've talked about a little bit, fashion and things is something that I pay attention to a little bit. We joke about it with the NBA and guys on the sideline and stuff at times. So I had the best dressed award, and I could have given it to an older name. We could have went like Walt Frazier and people like that who have been iconic back in the day, but someone who, or even Allen Iverson, who set the tone for the modern age. But someone I wanted to give the award to, and though he is still playing now, I think it's been so impactful, I guess, in the new era of guys and how they dress and all of that. I gave it to Russell Westbrook, admittedly. I wanted to give Russell this award. He has been the most elaborate, and I guess was the first to really take Allen Iverson's and take another step from what he was doing, his expression in clothing and things. And yeah, he has always been a guy that he was the first one that we noticed walking down the tunnel, and why guys have now turned that walk into a fashion show with modern folks now. So I wanted to give him the trophy in that regard. And for the two guys I picked, Jordan Clarkson definitely has made his impact felt in the tunnel and how he dresses. He's definitely one of the more iconic guys. If you see him modeling and things on the side, outside during the offseason and things of that nature, so definitely want to salute him in that. And another guy that I want to mention is a guy we've named often now for a plethora of reasons. So he's doing it on and off the court. But Shea definitely is considered one of the more stylish guys. I think GQ just named him most stylish man of the year or was a finalist. So definitely another guy that had to be mentioned there. So good things from both of them. Kuzma is another guy that steps out at times like that with really elaborate stuff. There was a whole meme about his dress. He had how he dressed. He had a long the pink sweater last year.
That's what I was
because increasing the size and all that kind of stuff. So those three definitely are front runners for the award. And yeah, I definitely would enjoy seeing that being handed out. So if you guys have any thoughts on that, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna shout out Kuz's extra big sweater from last year.
Yeah,
it was hilarious, and tons of memes were made about that one. So
right,
you name this one after a current player, but I feel like we can name it after Westbrook. But let's give it to Walt Frazier still. Like, he's on the sideline at Knicks games, just dressed to the nines. Like,
I'm totally fine with that. I'm totally
fine
with
that. Same way he's been dressing, for years. But we
can even go in a slight different route and even give it to Craig Sager and dedicate to him.
That would be a cool way to do
most
it
iconic.
too.
So yeah, it can go plenty of other ways, but because of how I guess impactful we have seen Russell and how he's made that tunnel to walk a true runway before games. I wanted to give him
probably shout out LaMelo too. I know he's had some pretty eccentric outfits.
He does.
I know he matched his outfit with the car that one time
a while ago. He just got to look like day one. That was like his first fit. So yeah, salute to him and that for doing those things there. So cool stuff there. Moving on, comeback player. And I was trying to think of who to give that to.
I actually thought of one.
Yeah, I'll let you go first then. Who'd you think of for that award?
I have Dame on there as number one. He missed a lot of time last year.
My apologies. Is this for the pick or for the trophy?
Oh, for the pick.
Oh, okay, for the trophy, I was trying to figure out who to give the trophy to. I was thinking of guys like Grant Hill and people like that who had very notable injuries of the past and came back and still had solid careers. The guy I ended up leaning on was another modern guy because of how memorable the injury was and how he's back to at least close to MVP form. Paul George was the guy I gave the trophy to because Paul George had that injury that we all witnessed in the USA runs a while back. And has bounced back and has had a very solid career going forward from there. So I'm sure there's other guys in the past I'm blanking on.
Yeah,
Paul George, when I say comeback player, was the first one to come to mind. But yeah, who you guys think the trophy?
I was gonna say Sean Livingston.
That's a good one.
That's a great one too.
Because he had that nastier injury before Paul George had his, where his knee just went out. That was one of the more major ACL tears that we had seen, and it might have been 2 or 3. It might have been ACL, MCL, LCL thing.
Yeah, it was one of the football type ones where everything got traded up in there.
But he came back and won at least one, maybe 2 championships with the Warriors, and was a contributing role player on those teams in a major way. And it was lights out from that mid range as always. Right. So you could name it after him too.
Yeah, I mean, my pick, I'm being a homer again, but I feel like Paul Pierce could be that name. It's always. That
wasn't a real injury, man. That does not count.
Forgotten.
Come back after he shot his pants.
And then this is what I was going to say. It is always
the trophy's him in the wheelchair going to the bathroom.
See, and no, this is exactly why. Because it's always forgotten about. It was early on in his career. He got stabbed 9 times in a nightclub and was on the court 6 weeks later. And people like to forget about that because how he got fired from ESPN, the poop theory. He's an easy guy to shit on.
Paul Pierce be smearing, pun intended. He'd be smearing his own legacy. So that.
Oh yeah, no, it's. But people like to forget about that. I want to say one of the stab wounds was literally centimeters from hitting his heart. It was a serious thing.
It was a gnarly incident for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely deserving. So yeah, I'm fine with it being changed, but I chose Paul George for now. If y'all want to vote on somebody else, I'm cool with that. But so you brought up Dame. Is he your pick for the comeback player of the year this year, Alec?
Yeah, he definitely is. Him and Zion, but I thought of Dame first just because of how much time he missed last year as well, and then he came back in prime Dame form still. I mean, he's getting a little bit older, but still playing like one of the better point guards in the league, and has his Blazers team in playoff contention, and I believe they will make the playoffs. So, yeah, I got Dame there, and then Zion missed. I forget if it was all of the year. It was most of the year last year, at least. And he's back to doing exactly what he was doing his rookie season, where he was 25-7 on 60% shooting. He's doing it again, so it's clearly not a fluke. He's generational.
Yeah, strong agree there. I'm surprised though you didn't go with your Laker guy. You're not throwing Anthony Davis pick there for comeback player with his. He's been
comeback.
I mean, he's been in and out the lineup a whole lot the last.
That's his thing though. I don't.
Yeah,
it's hard for me to label this as his comeback player of the year because he's had major missed time in previous years too. So I don't know.
Well, with comeback, I'm not thinking it's not most improved. I'm thinking, well, he's had injuries and came back and still looked peak form. And just seeing the run he was on to start the season, or at least for that segment of the season,
I think he'd definitely be in the conversation for sure. But yeah, I'd be fine with him being in the top 3 voting for that. But
Okay. Yeah,
like
just want to throw it out there. Matt, who you got for that pick?
Honestly, I think Bull. Like we've talked about him more, but like he wasn't really healthy with the Nuggets. It was like bubble bowl. Like that was when we really saw him kind of put it together. Was in the bubble, and then he got hurt, and we hadn't seen him again until this year. And he's, like he's playing so well. He'll it's almost like giving us a preview of Victor Wembanyama, like someone that's that tall that can shoot and dribble. Like there was a play recently where he like spun almost at half court, took one step, and then was dunking. Like and he can do that with a good handle, all that stuff. So and like that was always, I think it would be cool to give it to him too, because that was always the knock on him. Like
they called baby
frail.
KD a couple of days ago.
Yeah,
as the Nets played, they say it was a tough game actually between the two of them, and KD won in the end. But they said Bull put up a good fight the whole way through. So I definitely get what you're saying there, and definitely gonna be looking forward to something to say with the Bull and Victor matchups going forward. Are gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah, I had a tweet that popped off earlier this year where I was like, I was always wondering why the Nuggets were treating him like a Make-A-Wish kid. Because like he clearly had so much talent, even in college too. Like he was a really good player in college, and it was like he was getting important minutes in bubble games, like before the playoff bubble games started, and then during the regular season last year, he just like didn't play at all, really. So I'm like, why are they acting like this dude can't play basketball at all? Like I get he has a small frame, and maybe they're worried about that and getting him stronger, but he's a really talented player, and we're seeing it now with the Magic, who have minutes to give because they're not a very good team. But I think he can be a contributing role player on an NBA team, good NBA team.
Probably a starter. Like he's putting up starters numbers. Like he's getting his blocks because just how tall he is. Like and he's great on offense. Like I think he could be even like a starter on a solid team down the line.
Yeah, I'm with y'all in that. Definitely someone that we're gonna keep our eyes on. So salute to him in there. Fun stuff for comeback player. Gonna be excited to see how we just continue to pick that going forward. Now getting leaning more into the jokes a little bit. Something that has been a common phrase in recent years. Folks that have been tricked by a few players and guys that people deem to be top tier, but never seem to actually ever finish the job in that regard. People say, "Oh, they tricked y'all a whole lot." So I came up with the trick y'all MVP. I dedicated it to Alec, and the one guy he always points to in that regard, Chris Paul, as the Chris Paul trophy. I think you'd be in agreement with that. Matt, first off, Matt, do you agree with giving Chris Paul the trick y'all MVP trophy?
Yeah,
or dedicating it to him.
Yeah, I think that's pretty spot on. Like,
okay,
I think.
And then with that, who would y'all pick for that award this year?
The namesake, just give him the inaugural. It's like I don't know. Alex and I were talking about this in that game. Yeah, like, well, I feel like even then he has like an expiration date on teams now. Like he comes in, he makes his culture impact or whatever, gets his fringe MVP voting, and then like year 2, it's still kind of working, but they come up short as Chris Paul always does. And then year 3, it's like, I don't know, like that fake tough guy, energy that we've been talking about with the Suns. I feel like that kind of comes from him. Like he always tries to act like this upstanding citizen. Like there was this story I just saw. Yeah. And it was like, oh, he, I think he just recently graduated from a college. So there was a story that said he gave $2,500 to like every student that was graduating. Right. But then you look into the details and it's like, no, he puts $2,500 into like some weird fund for them. Like it's not actually money that they can spend like immediately or just like cash, oh yeah, my mom's late on her mortgage, I can help her out with this. Like, nope, it's in some random fund that, so like, it's the Suns' energy this year. I feel like that is kind of that embodies like the trick y'all part of this, right? They've always, they're a great team. It's been less so this year, but they've been a great regular season team that, they made their finals run, but still came up short. And I feel like they've never been able to get back to that point.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with that. Alec, are you in agreement? Who you have also in this?
I'm in agreement. The Suns definitely take on his persona for sure. I don't think I had a lower tier pick, which also could be the namesake in Pat Bev, because the term trick y'all came from Pat Bev when Russ said Pat Bev trick y'all. But he really is just running around out there doing nothing. He's been, I think statistically, he's legitimately been the worst player in the NBA this year. just based off the minutes he's played and the production that's been lacking.
Mm-hmm.
He was like a career 37% 3-point shooter, and he's shooting like 25% from three for the Lakers. Like, it's something about playing for the Lakers. Role players come here and immediately
right.
But Pat Bev for sure is on there. Just on the spot, kind of looking at where these teams are. Trae Young might be on there a little bit. He's a superstar offensive talent, but he's a cone on defense. And Atlanta had that great run to the ECF, and then 2 straight years now have been very disappointing. And they got the addition of DeJounte Murray, which was supposed to help them.
And he's been great, but it hasn't translated to wins.
They're 15-15 right now, so, and in the 9 spot. So, yeah, Trae Young, I think he's a great offensive talent, but I don't know. He's also gotten some coaches fired, and potentially another coach is going to be fired. So,
understood.
If I can add another one, I want to go at Rob Pelinka real quick. I feel like he could get this award. I mean, I don't know if he's. I don't know if it's necessarily y'all. Like, I feel like people generally don't really have like the high. Like, he's not in the top of like the executives, but he's tricking the Lakers. They just gave him another big deal, and like I mean, since the AD trade, what has he really done to improve this team? Like, it's been a few years. So
I mean, if that's the case, I go ahead and throw Doc Rivers in that hat as well. If we're going in that regard, but that's another story. But sticking to players, I have one fake one, and I wanted to sneak LeBron into here, but I'm not going to go full hater right now. I'm not going to do that. What I am going to do though is someone that people have debated as a top tier guy. People have waited on the bloom. I almost wanted to compare him to Justin Herbert in the NFL. Like, he's someone that we saw as had all the
social
talent,
media.
had social media highlights and all the praise, but never quite put it together. Justin Herbert is now putting it together. We see. So I'm kind of passing beyond that. But Zach LaVine, we've been waiting on for a while now to be that guy. There were always debates about him and Devin Booker and things like that. And I know he's had injuries and there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. So I'm like carefully saying this. But it's like we've been waiting for a while for him to be the guy, and he never has fully done it. And I'm just like, his name came to mind when I brought up this award. So I'm not fully like hating on him like that, but I'm throwing him into this race.
That's fine. Yeah, I mean, for me, like I said, Trae Young. I think on their Eastern Conference Finals run, I said he's top 3 point guard.
Top 3 point guard in our tiers and all that.
I was very, very high on him. So I'm fine with you having LaVine in there because I'm pretty high on LaVine still too.
Well, continually say he's a top 5. He's a top 5 shooting guard, and with some more help, he could be a top 3 guy. And just wait on this year, he's finally gonna put it all together, and he's gonna be. And injuries keep happening, and wherever the case, and he just never fully shows. I think this year he's averaging like 21-4, which is decent. 22-4, but it's like. We expected a little bit more than that. We saw him neck and neck with Booker, and I haven't quite seen that yet. So I'm throwing him in for that one.
It's a little hard to be like the guy when you also have another guy who can be the guy in DeRozan right next to you. I mean, he was the one that was getting 50-point games and all the buzzer beaters and everything last year.
Yeah, so I guess to that point, what does that say? When we saw him as a 1A type guy, and then someone else comes in and takes that spot from him. So, yeah.
But I'm okay with the pick. I don't like it because I like LaVine, but
I do too. That's actually why I put I'm kind of like frustrated. Like I'm waiting for him. I think he actually had signed with the Kings a while back, and then the Bulls matched it to keep him when he was going free agency a few years ago. And so I was like, oh, imagine if him and De'Aaron or whatever put that together. But yeah, so I've always been a fan beyond that.
It might be a playoff team with
him and those things, and we for sure be a playoff team. That's what
I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
But,
a third piece like that.
Yeah, there's always been high hopes, and we always have seen the dunking he's been doing and not that great stuff. But he hasn't had the top tier performances as we had envisioned for him. So. Here's what it is in that regard. So that's the race for the Trick Y'all MVP this year. I like that award. I definitely will keep that around going forward.
Sure.
One, and I didn't even have a vote for it. I couldn't figure it out. But I was trying to say like the best shooter, the I didn't really want to call it sniper award. I felt like that was insensitive to right now and stuff. I don't know.
Could be, but
yeah,
I get what you're going for.
Yeah, the best shooter award. I don't know. I call it the Kyle Korver Trophy. He immediately came to mind for best shooter. He was known as a shooter back in the day for how all that stuff. You have a pick for that, and what do you think of the trophy? Just to start off, should that be something?
Yeah, I like it, and I like it being after Kyle Korver because I mean he was a sniper like when he was in the league pretty much every year.
Yeah, the Marksman Award, we'll call it that. That sounds like a less aggressive word.
Yeah, that's more politically correct.
Yeah, that sounds less aggressive.
That's Chris
the
Kyle
Award, the Kyle Korver Trophy. Who you guys have for that?
You got picks, Matt?
I mean, the first one that comes to mind, like if we're naming it after Kyle Korver, I feel like thinking of players where like shooting is why they're on the floor.
Matt Ryan.
I mean, basically, that's kind of where I was going.
Anymore. I don't count.
I mean,
one game.
He was the best shooter on the Lakers that whole time. I don't know why they cut him, but I mean, and you know, I'm talking about a lot of Celtics, but I watch them the most. Sam Hauser has been really impressive this year. I think he's still shooting over 50% from three. You know, he was a guy. He's basically the guy. He's why the Celtics cut Matt Ryan. I think he might have even been why the Celtics cut Max Strus back in the day, just trying to like keep him and develop him. And it's finally paid off this year. It's still 2 bad moves, but he's supposedly been the reason for both of those. And he's actually, you know, he's been playing really well this year. So,
okay. Yeah. I mean, I got obvious Steph, greatest shooter ever. But I got Desmond Bane on here too. I think he's shooting about 45% on like 7 attempts, something like that. Like him and Wiggins, I also have on here. They're the only guys with like 6 or more attempts per game that are shooting 45% from 3. So I got
Wiggins.
Yeah,
I would not have expected that.
I would not have either. But yeah, he's been letting that thing go. And Wiggins, I mean, since that playoff run.
Yeah,
he's showed why he was a lottery pick. Yeah, he's continued to play well for. He's been one of the more consistent guys for the Warriors this year, outside of Steph, because Clay has had his struggles and Poole struggled to start, but has come on now. But Wiggins has been steady for them. So.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I was trying to look up, like, I'm trying to see how I even categorize the stat. But they have at least the higher 3-point percentages. Damian Lee's at 47%.
Yeah.
Luke Kennard's at 47. Al Horford.
All those guys only shoot like 4 of them a game, though.
Right, yeah.
I feel like you want volume with this too.
Those don't really count. But yeah, I'll just agree with y'all and go
maybe with Kevin Herter.
I was gonna say, you want to say Kevin Herter?
Yeah. I'll go with Herter. There we go. I blanked on that, but I'm cool with that. So yeah, definitely fun stuff there. Moving on. Actually, yeah, we'll go here. So going to more of the other team stuff. People have talked about the league pass and how folks there's a league pass teams that people like to go and watch. Obviously, there's the teams that always get all the main major TV views and all that kind of stuff, and national televised games. The Warriors and the Lakers somehow keep getting all the showings and all the games on TV
every year,
and all that every year, and that's fine. But teams that don't get as many views nationally, but deserving of attention, I wanted to give an award for that. So the League Pass Team of the Year. And I made a trophy. I couldn't figure out how to do it, but the Hornets, after last year, the Hornets were very known for last year. They had the announcer going crazy and had all the highlights and dunks and all kinds of stuff. And we saw them on social media all year long being great. So the Hornets logo, I don't know how you do it, but the Hornets get that trophy dedicated to them. Who's your League Pass Team of the Year this year?
Mine is the Kings. Like,
there we go. Now we're talking. Agreed.
They've been so much fun to watch. You know, like I'll try to watch the Celtics game. Like, this is the first year I've had League Pass too, so I'll try to watch a Celtics game, and then usually after I'm just like looking at the best, you know, West Coast late window. They've always been fun to watch.
Absolutely.
I think with that, like they play really fast, so you know, I feel like that's usually what you look for, kind of like the Hornets team last year. And then also I love their broadcast team.
Correct.
You know, it's like a minor detail, but they got Kyle Draper, who used to work for the Celtics for a while, and they got Mark Jones from ESPN.
Is Doug Christie still on it, or is he coaching now?
I thought he was coaching.
I think he's coaching
because he used to be on their broadcast.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, if you think Mark Jones makes a lot of like funny metaphors in like the ESPN broadcast, he's on another level on the Kings broadcast. It's been really fun to listen to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, strongly agree there. I had Kings as my pick as well, so definitely good stuff. And then I want to throw out, as we kind of mentioned, with Bo and Franz Wagner and Paolo, the Magic are surely an entertaining team to watch as well. They don't get a lot of national televised games. I think they only have one this year, if any. But yeah, definitely if you got a chance to watch them, they have a whole lot of good pieces there. The big three there that I mentioned are great. There's some other guards that are still there. Jalen Suggs was our top pick a year ago. Markelle Fultz is reviving his career out there and doing his thing. Cole Anthony is an entertaining player to watch as well. So there's pieces all across the board on the Orlando squad that worthy of your attention. They're now putting together some good games too, so it's worthy of a watch. So the Kings and the Magic were my two teams for League Pass. Alec, who you got?
Yeah, I only had one on here. Admittedly, I haven't watched as much full games other than the Lakers this year as far as other teams. Like,
of course,
typically I watch a lot of other teams, but I haven't as much this year. But I don't have League Pass either. Shout out Stream East, but
the plug.
Yeah.
So other teams, the main other team that I have watched though is the Pels. I've been a Pels fan a little bit since they traded for our young guys in BI and BI and Lonzo and Hart. But Zion I love to watch, and he's one of the more exciting players in the league. And how Willie Green has those guys playing, the young guys stepping up too, Trey Murphy and Herb Jones and Jose Alvarado. Like, they just have a lot of fun guys to watch.
Correct.
And they play competitive and play hard night in, night out. So they've been my second team that I really like to watch if I'm not watching the Lakers.
Love that. It's a great pick as well. I've become somewhat not fully, but they're one of a good team to watch as well. Definitely like having a big Ingram fan and all of that, and enjoy what he has going on there. Love Zion and all that. So yeah, Pels definitely are in the mix there. Definitely some good stuff there. I'm actually kind of disappointed, even though I did kind of predict the Hornets would be bad. I'm disappointed that the Hornets have not had, I guess, the highlights and thing. I know LaMelo's been out too, but yeah. I was hoping that the Hornets would be at least somewhat an entertaining project this year, even through their mess there. So. Well, yeah, I enjoy the other ones that we mentioned. Good stuff there. Now to the standings and things in the same kind of way. The first award I want to give to a team is the Fool's Gold Award. A team that maybe top tier, close to top tier, but you think is going to fall short yet again in the playoffs. So yeah, the Fool's Gold Award I dedicated to the Clippers, as they've always been that team, just forever known as a team to have potential, or at least in the last decade at least, to have potential and then never follow through. So I wanted to give them the trophy dedication. Who do you guys have this year for our first Fool's Gold Award?
Real quick, that Colts Vikings game is a one-score game now.
Of course it is.
It's like 28-36.
Oh, did Justin Jefferson do anything?
Yeah, he's got almost 30 points for you.
Oh,
bless him. Bless you. Well, G, you need that too.
Damn you, Jonathan Taylor. God.
Wow. All right.
Oh my God.
So sorry for the interruption, but I just had to say, because it was like a 33-point game.
It was 33-0 when we
33-0 going into the third quarter. That's so stupid.
That's insane. But you said Fool's Gold, right?
Yeah, Fool's Gold Award.
I got the Suns on here. I had them as a 9 seed. They've proved me wrong. They're clearly the Utah Jazz now. They're a great regular season team. No one's gonna fear them in the playoffs. They might win a round, maybe 2, but they're not winning a chip. Yeah, go for it.
Old Jazz and Hawk squads were my 2 other names I was thinking enough to give the award to, because they were the same type of thing. But yeah, Clippers ended up getting the pick there. But yeah, I'm with you. And then Suns, I agree. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and then I just had the Nuggets on here too. They just lost to the Lakers, which shocked me. Lakers without AD for a half. They lost by 18. I believe they're the 3rd or 4th seed right now in the West. A lot of people were picking them as a potential contender this year. Obviously, they have Jokic, the 2-time MVP. They're getting Jamal Murray back for this year, and he's been all right
too.
He's been all right.
I mean, at the same time, just to point out, because it's so early in the season, again, first quarter of the season, it's still very early. The Nuggets are 3rd in the West technically because they're 17-11. But the Clippers are 17-14. They're in the 8th spot. So it's like
it's very close.
A couple of games and that whole thing flips. And yeah, so I definitely hear you in that. I had said I couldn't quite explain why, but something felt off about the Nuggets squad. And they're clearly still 3rd right now, so I'm wrong at the moment. But I had that being low in the standings and not fully following through this year. So technically, I do agree with you there. And yeah, you can continue on why.
Yeah, I think they're good. I don't know what it would take for me to see them as a team that can finally get over the hump. because they have what'd you say?
To get over the hump
to do it. Yeah,
like,
sometimes they have to do it to believe it. And
no, but
yeah,
I feel like it's a certain archetype of player maybe that they're missing, but because Jokic, I mean, is a clear MVP and they run the offense through him, and like I don't want to say that like you can't win a championship with running the offense through him because he's top 5 player in the league, but it's something about how the Nuggets play. Like I don't fear them making a title run. They've gotten as far as the Western Conference Finals, but
yeah,
I guess it's like it's kind of predictable. And some players have said that. What do you say?
Jamal Murray coming back from injury, is that still what? Because I know he's still working, getting back his feet back under him.
He's getting in a groove, but like some players have talked about it just off the court. Like they've become kind of predictable in how they play with the pick and roll, and it's pick and roll, pick and pop. It's either Jamal Murray or Jokic. And like when you're predictable in the playoffs, like that's when teams can kind of exploit you. So I don't know. Maybe it's like Michael Porter taking a leap that kind of gets them over the hump because they have talent up and down the roster, but I still don't see them as a team that can win the championship. So that's why I kind of see them as fool's gold, because I think they'll be up there but not win it.
When you said they're missing like a certain archetype, I almost feel like if they had a guy like Mikal Bridges instead of Michael Porter, like that would fit their team a lot more. Like in the offseason, I feel like they were trying to address wing.
They got KCP, but he's a little smaller.
Right. And they got Bruce Brown too, and he's a little smaller. You know, they need, I feel like Mikal Bridges, like they need a guy who they can throw. Like imagine if they played the Clippers again. I feel like they had a couple matchups with them. Like that's 2 elite bigger wings that you got to defend. And I don't know how they really do it. I mean, Michael Porter has the size, but he doesn't play defense really. So I feel like that's kind of the piece that they're missing.
Yeah, that would be great for them.
So yeah, I'm fine with them being in here for that. So yeah, I had the Suns as well. And the other team I wanted to mention, the Sixers are another team that just seems like fool's gold yet again. They have all the pieces that's there. Doc is the head coach, so it's the perfect mesh for all of this to come together. I think it's very, very fitting. It's sad because I'm a fan of Joel Embiid. I do actually like Harden a little bit. They have some pieces that I do like, but they just never seem to fully get the job done. And seeing the other juggernauts that are around them in the East, with the Celtics, with the Bucks, and the Nets maybe figuring it out. Who knows? I think the Sixers running into any of those squads is going to be tough for them to win those series. So yeah, yet again, it seems like these Sixers are going to fall short. So my pick for fool's gold, as they've continued to do now since they've finally got past the process, are now we're really in contention. They've been fool's gold so far with all the talent they continue to put on that squad. So yeah, for sure the Sixers there. Matt, any other key teams you want to mention?
Yeah, I think so far with the Sixers, like the injuries have hurt them a lot. Like I think it just came out Maxi's still pretty far away from getting back. So that definitely hurts them. Harden just got back. But at the end of the day, like they don't scare me in the playoffs much. Like they haven't for a while. And then you add James Harden, who has his playoff mishaps. Like, I don't know. I definitely think they're like that. And then, I mean, we're more talking about teams that should make the playoffs and then we think might fall short. But like the Bulls have been pretty disappointing this year. Yeah. Because like DeRozan is still that guy, but like Levine seemingly is good. But, you know, we were just talking about him. Like, they on paper, they should have the talent, but it just has not translated so far.
Yeah. Levine has kind of been like AD post the bubble, like those 2 seasons where it was like, we see like the potential, but you haven't done it like on a consistent basis kind of thing. Yeah. And he's like, he still gets his counting stats kind of, but it's not like taking them anywhere. And me and G both had them as like 9 seeds before the season started. So we kind of expected this, but it is kind of disappointing still with the Bulls. Definitely. They have talent.
So definitely some things to follow there. Interested to see what other names might get thrown in the pot there from fans and things. So good stuff in that regard. And on the flip side, I couldn't figure out what to call it. So I call it the Too Legit Award. I guess a team that we might have had expectations for, but now it seems like they could be legit, even contender type teams. I actually dedicated this. It was hard to do. I did give it to the Celtics because we did see their rise. We saw them in the finals last year. The young team that had high hopes and actually followed through on at least getting there. I wanted to give it to them in that regard. Dedicating the trophy at least to them in that regard. But for a pick, who you guys have for the Too Legit Award this season?
I only have 2. I think they're really my only 2 championship contenders right now. There's other teams that, if things go right, they can make it. But Boston, number 1 for me, and then Milwaukee, number 2. I think those 2 teams in the East are like solidified as the best in the league.
I guess to that point, I guess maybe I missed them in explanation, but the Bucks were for sure there. I'm more thinking a team you didn't expect to be there, that rose up and now is
didn't expect.
Yeah, because we all the Bucks being top tier, so of course they could be mentioned.
I think the Grizzlies fit in that.
The Grizzlies are kind of there.
The
2 teams
Grizzlies
I want to mention. What team I thought you were going to mention? I thought the Pelicans, because we thought they'd be good, but we didn't think they'd be this good. And on the other side, on the East, I did. Okay, my bad. I missed that.
I always knew.
My bad. The Pelicans for sure. And on the other side, the Cavs were a team that we saw high hopes for, and they look pretty good right now as well. And maybe even better than expected. So
if you're going by didn't expect, it would only be the Cavs for me, because I expected Boston, Milwaukee to be high, and I expected Memphis and New Orleans to be this high too.
Right.
So it would be the Cavs. Like I didn't see them being any higher than, I believe I said 5.
Correct.
And I think it still might shake out that way, because I think Brooklyn is going to continue to climb. Miami still can. Philly still can, I think, in the regular season. But Cleveland to this point has played their way into the 3rd seed and has been really good. Donovan Mitchell's been exceptional. I think Cleveland has outperformed my expectations for sure.
Got it.
Yeah, I think the other team I'd throw in there, just understanding more what we're trying to get at here is the Kings. Like, you can probably talk more about it, G, but I mean they've always been like a laughing stock, for the last
11
years.
11 seed. Now we're the 5 seed.
Exactly. So
things have definitely.
And I mean, really, since the Sabonis trade, like it's almost like they gave up the best player in that trade in Halliburton, and like it still has worked out for them. Like Sabonis is great, but like I think Halliburton is like pretty much could fit in on any team. But then when you look at like what Sabonis has allowed them to do, like when you have De'Aaron running your offense, it just like gives you a post playmaker that you can just send the ball to. Like he even brings it up for them sometimes. It's just like his passing vision, and then just he's really impressed me watching them a lot this year in terms of just like how physical he is down low. Because like you think, especially with like Euro bigs and kind of the assumptions people make about them, like he gets his boards, like he can finish down low, and just his playmaking is always really impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. I fully agree with you there. Something that came to mind just because of things we talked about on air, Alec, it's not the same thing, but just in regards to topic, we talk a lot in the NFL about scheme versus talent. We had that conversation a few times now. It seemed like with the Kings, Sabonis fit the scheme better than Halliburton did. Halliburton kind of made it too congested in the backcourt. They couldn't figure out who was going to be the main guy to run the offense there. They had Davion, who's very good as well, and they tried to had a 3-man game they couldn't figure out in the backcourt. But now having De'Aaron be the clear lead in the backcourt with Sabonis up front doing his thing there, it has really allowed that team to everybody to fit into their roles as needed and excel as they've been doing. So he's fit into that team very well, and they definitely have been thriving because of all that's going on there.
I wouldn't say that Halliburton didn't fit the scheme, only because I think Halliburton could do the exact same thing with Sabonis that Fox is doing. Trading Halliburton made it more clear, like you said, that
you had to, of course, trade to make that happen.
Yeah, so I think either one of them could do it with Sabonis, but it made Fox the clear number 1 point guard, ball handler. So
So very happy to see that, and I'm all on board with them being picked for that this year. So definitely good stuff there. And then those are all the team stuff. We hit the knucklehead. We did the Too Legit, Fool's Gold, League Pass. Yeah, a lot of good stuff there. The last award I wanted to give out, as we've seen, a lot of NBA players have gotten more into the media and things, and a lot of entertaining stuff has been going on off the court. And folks kind of joke about guys being podcasters now. Oh, LeBron's playing against a bunch of podcasters. That doesn't count, whatever, all kinds of jokes and stuff. But on a serious note, guys are doing great things in the media that deserve some attention. So I call it the Knucklehead Award. The Knucklehead Podcast was one of the first ones to really pop off with former NBA players. That was great to watch. So I wanted to give out the Knucklehead Award this year for best podcast for current players that are doing their thing as well. So the one I had in mind, I guess I'll go real quick. The et ceteras, I think it's what it goes by, the ETC or whatever.
Yeah,
Et cetera. With Kevin Durant, his podcast for the boardroom and things, with I think Banks Gonzalez, I think his name is, who's not a player but someone who Katie has brought alongside him to co-host that, and they have run that very well. That's a podcast I check in on at times, and it's been entertaining. So yeah, salute to KD for his podcast there, and wanted to give them the award for this first one. Any player podcast you guys been following this year that deserve some acknowledgement?
I said the old man in the 3. Obviously, JJ's retired, but he's bringing on current players for most of his episodes. And I like the in-depth discussions that they get to have outside of the media questions. Like, I feel like they get more real with JJ.
Correct.
And I was telling Matt before the show, I really liked the episode that he did with Stephen A. Smith, because Stephen A. is great, like outside of the confines of Disney and ESPN, where he can have no filter.
Yeah.
And that was a really great episode. If you haven't seen it, I would recommend it. And then also more retired guys, but All the Smoke is in there.
Of course. I'm going to name the award after them too, because they definitely are great as well. But yeah, you can't win either way. But yeah, definitely both of them. Matt, who you got?
Yeah, I mean, both of those are good choices. I don't really listen to any like player-led podcasts regularly yet, other than those.
No love to the Draymond podcast.
That's where I'm going. I don't listen regularly, but what we can't forget, and this might get lost in the long grind of the season, is he basically podcasted his way and made a little documentary through his team given suspension for punching one of his teammates square in the face. Like,
that was nasty.
That's something I feel like. But what's interesting, and I think especially about when you're talking about player-led media, like obviously it would have been a much bigger story if like this happened during the season. So like think exactly. But what was interesting to see from him at the time is how he was able to spin it. And like, because he's such a key figure in that Warriors organization, kind of like using the goodwill he's built up with his teammates, with that organization, then also the media, he was kind of able to just like flip what could have been a controversy. Yeah. I don't want to say like completely on his head, but if you watch that documentary he put out, like, and
that trailer for it was so nasty,
doing all this posturing, like I use the time off to spend with my kids and all that. Like it was just, and I'm sure he did that, but like. It's just very funny to see. And I think, as guys may even, if something happens, like, not necessarily to like spin it or like, I don't want to have such a negative connotation with that, but like be able to go on these places like Old Man in the 3 or All the Smoke and like talk with basically their peers to actually like give, you get more of like their actual opinions and thoughts compared to when it's just like the same old talk about this after the game,
Right.
Yeah. So I fully agree. No nomination for the Pat Bev pod that's been going recently. No.
Is that
that might be his full-time work soon. I don't know.
I've seen him podding, but it's like with Rowan from Barstool, so I wasn't sure if it was a Barstool pod or if it was his.
I think it's fully his. It's called the Pat Bev pod and all that. It might be sponsored by Barstool or something like that, but it's all him. So yeah, I guess salute to him for that. As Matt said, it might be
some more shots up.
Yeah. So we'll see about that. Some guys shouldn't have podcasts. We'll have another discussion for another day. But anyways, definitely enjoy all of that. And yeah, definitely a lot of good things. We've been going for an hour and a half now. So we'll save our individual team breakdowns for another day. But the last thing I wanted to ask you guys, and we kind of already talked about it, but the last question, no longer an award, but final question is, if the season ended today, the finals matchup you want to see is who?
Matt, you first.
I would go, honestly, I think Celtics Pelicans. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Okay.
I thought you were with me, Matt. Damn.
I mean, all right. I think I know where you're going. I love the Kings. I want to see them make it advance in the playoffs, but I don't know if they got that quite yet. But yeah, I think Celtics Pelicans would just be like a really fun matchup anyway. Like they kind of, because there's a lot of lineup versatility there. Like I think people are kind of critical of like Jonas Valanciunas there. And like, but I feel like he can play a key role. And especially against the Celtics, like he'd be able to hit the difference between like him and Rob Williams is like an athletic big versus a bruiser. And then of course you got Zion in there. Like I feel like there would be a lot of fun matchups in there. Whenever Herb Jones has defended Tatum in the past, he's kind of locked him up. So like I'd be interested to see that. Yeah, I think it would be a cool matchup.
You want to go because we know yours?
I guess realistically, yeah, fine. Celtics Pelicans is great, But we know the real matchup here. Celtics Kings, man. What are we talking about? Kings are the best team in the West. I know what the record says, but the best team in the West is the Kings. The Kings will be the Kings in the playoffs and make their run to the finals. And yeah, that's what I want to see. So Kings Celtics, Mike Brown gets another ring. Yeah, I'm all for that. So
that would a Celtics Kings finals matchup would have an average of like 135 points for each team. Like that would just be
that's what you
nuclear basketball.
Yeah,
you bring entertainment value.
You got to factor that in.
Lighting the beam in the final, the gold beam going up during the finals. Come on now, you can't pass on that. That's perfect.
Kings would bring the beam with them to Boston.
Oh yeah, so, yeah. Those are my two.
I did want to say, since we're not going to do a full deep dive into the teams, this is not a cop out, but the Kings are a fun. The Kings are a fun team this year. Like
I want to hear it. To be honest with you,
I want to say I'm 100% rooting against them for our purposes.
I don't want to hear it, man.
But like the energy around the team is great. Like post game, Mike Brown's been great. It seems like they have like the team chemistry is all working well. Like they're a fun team, undoubtedly. And I don't think they're bad. I just think there's some teams that are going to be a little higher. That's all. But yeah, they're fun. That's all I wanted to say.
Well, I appreciate that.
In terms of who I want to see in the finals, Pelicans versus the Bucks. I think that best player in the league in Giannis versus up and coming potential face of the league in Zion would be a great marquee matchup. And then you also have BI matching up with Middleton, who people have debated before too. I just think there'd be some cool narratives there, and potentially the two best teams. What is that?
McCollum versus Drew is a nice matchup, also.
Exactly, yeah.
Across the board, yeah.
That's three great matchups there between the two big threes of those teams, and then I think they could potentially be the two best teams in their respective conferences. So I think that would be a really, really fun matchup. And then the finals just being in New Orleans would be awesome for that city too. But yeah, that's what I'm rooting for.
I'll throw this out there. We didn't write it down, but in the same kind of lane, is there any matchup you want to see a 7-game series of, either in either conference or a finals matchup, any kind of way? Just any kind of deep dive,
in the playoffs at any point.
Any kind of fun matchup you want to see for sure happen this year.
I'd love to see them. Oh, go for it.
I want another Celtics Sixers matchup. Those are always so much fun. Okay. I feel like it's two kind of, I don't know. They're two very passionate East Coast cities. We'll put it a nice way. But I feel like they kind of bring that energy up out of each other. And then there's a lot of history between the two teams. And then with the addition to James Harden, him and Smart kind of always get into it. So I feel like that would be a fun matchup.
I'd love to see the Suns get waxed by anyone. So I'd love to see Lakers Suns, but I'd love to see Pelican Suns just because they had that matchup and they have a brewing rivalry now.
Yeah.
I'd love to see the Pelicans dog them out. So
that's great. And it's going to be close. I don't know if it's going to happen, but if it can happen before it's too late, we need one Lakers-Clippers playoff series between these two teams.
While they still have Kawhi, PG.
Yeah, Kawhi, please. Again, I don't even know if the Lakers make the playoffs. They're right in the ship, and it's possible they are back on track a little bit. But if we can get one Lakers Clippers playoff matchup somehow, we got it. Every year they come up just short some kind of way. In the bubble, the Lakers got there. The Clippers were right there and blew the lead. Every time we get the chance to, things just fall short. So hopefully somehow this year we can get a Lakers Clippers playoff series there. So that's the one ask, if anything. And yeah.
One more fake one, since you had a fake one with the Kings in it.
That wasn't a fake one. I don't know what that's about.
Look at the standings.
The Lakers and the Celtics would be amazing. Of course, that's probably the best rivalry in the NBA. And Matt and I were just at that game.
Celtics in 4.
They just had. What do you say?
I mean, yeah.
What?
Obviously, you favor the Celtics in that matchup, but that was maybe the best game of the regular season that me and Matt just went to.
Definitely,
and where it went to OT and the Lakers had a 20-point comeback. They love those fake comebacks, by the way. They had that 20-point comeback and went to OT. That sensational game. So I would love 7 games of that if you got 7 games. Of that.
Yeah. I mean,
hey, I said we're doing fake ones.
Bro,
I'm throwing a fake one in there.
It would not be 7, sir. Let's get that out the way now. You might get 5.
Oh my god.
But I'm cool with that one too for old time's sake. So yeah, a lot of great stuff in this episode. We'll come back soon and have more of an in-depth breakdown for our individual teams. But for now, plenty of good stuff here. A lot of fun awards we threw out there. We have our real awards at the beginning. Had some fun fake ones we threw out there for you guys as well. Good stuff everywhere. We thank Matt for coming in and joining us and having a discussion with us here. Great way to end the year here on the NBA discussions. And yeah, really excited for all that's coming in the league. Definitely a fun first quarter already. Excited for what's on the way. And yeah, we appreciate you guys for tuning back in. Any last words from you guys?
I don't think so.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right,
always
again,
a fun time.
Appreciate y'all. A lot of good stuff going on. Our last on-air update. What happened with the Colts and
it's tied in overtime.
It's tied. The Colts.
What a ridiculous game.
These fraud teams, man. That's nasty. So yeah, definitely wild what's going on in the NFL still, and we'll be back to talk about all of that as well throughout the rest of the season. So good stuff everywhere. Appreciate you guys for tuning back in. Follow us online everywhere. The ads are below and all of that. Appreciate all the love. Subscribe to the show and all those great things. And we'll see you guys again next week, man. We out of here. Peace.
Deuces. Let's ride, pals.
Oh my God. Light the beam. If we're gonna do that, let's add this in. Light the beam. We're in on a positive note.
I was surprised you didn't say that. Yeah.